So welcome to another yoga class at home, and just a reminder that anything we do today, if it doesn't feel right, please don't do it. And if you do choose to do this class, take responsibility for yourself and look after yourself. Don't do anything that's going to be harmful. So we are going to be doing a lot of leg stretches today. You may want to have a strap, just something you can hook around the foot, and blocks optional. Maybe something soft to sit on a little bit later. But we're going to start by lying down. And if you like this semi-supine position with the knees bent, just to get a little bit more length in the spine. So I'm slightly tilting my pelvis there and then letting it settle and relax. And then release the palms towards the ceiling. So you can either choose to stay here, or if you prefer, you could slide the feet away. So your decision, whichever is the most comfortable. So we'll focus on the 3-part breath. That means using the diaphragm. As we breathe in, diaphragm should move down, which means the belly expands. As we exhale, diaphragm moves up and navel relaxes towards the spine. So we begin by breathing in through the nose and trying to direct that breath deep down into that belly, letting it really expand. And then on the exhale, just releasing that air back out. If you find it's easy to have one hand resting on the belly to direct that breath, feel free to do that as well. The first few times, it might feel a little bit hard to get that breath moving down. That's okay. We just keep trying. And we're looking for a real softness on that exhalation. So that's what we call the first part of our breath. The second part is located around the rib cage. So you may want to put your hands either side of the ribs here. And as we breathe in, we're going to try and keep the belly still and try and focus that breath on the ribs only. So as I breathe in, get that sense of broadness here in my rib cage, and as I exhale, the ribs relax in again. Notice if this feels easier or harder than the belly breath. So that's the second part of our breath. And then the third part is up here at the upper chest, around the sternum, towards the collarbones. So you may want to place one hand or just keep them on the ribs. We're going to try and keep the belly and the ribs fairly still and just breathe into this upper chest. You'll find that the breath is a lot shallower. So we'll only do a couple of breaths there. And what ideally we'd like to do for our 3-part breath is combine all 3 breaths into one breath. So we are going to begin by trying to get that breath moving right down to the belly. We then continue to expand into our ribs, and we top up at the collarbones. And when we exhale, just let that breath go, whether it comes from belly up or from chest down, doesn't matter, whatever feels most comfortable. You might want to have one hand on the belly and one on the ribs. So when you're ready, beginning the breath in. And as you focus on this 3-part breath, just observe whether you prefer to breathe in or breathe out. Which one is longer? Are they the same? And can you fully let go on that exhalation? At the end of the exhalation, just relax for a moment before taking that next breath in. And we'll do one more round. And when you've finished on that exhale, just allow the breath to come back to however you normally like to breathe. And we'll just do a little rotation through the ankles and the wrists. And we'll go back the other way. And then if you've got the legs straight, rebend the knees, just a nice little roll of the knees side to side. So if you've got your strap nearby, we're going to begin with some leg stretches. We're going to start with the right leg. So if we can take that right leg up and just a few little point and flex through the foot there, and then if we can loop that strap around the ball of the foot, extend it up towards the ceiling, and we try and find that nice straight line through the back of the leg there, without overextending this knee joint though. So I don't want it too bent, and I don't want it super locked, just a little bit off. And noticing where you can feel that sensation. So for me, I can feel it in my glute muscles more than my hamstrings at the moment. You might feel it more in your calf muscles, or maybe even the lower back if the lower back's tight. So it's actually not just working hamstrings, it's working the whole string of muscles at the back there. So I'm just getting comfortable with that sensation of stretch. And remember, if the hands get tired, you can always loop the strap around the hands or rest your elbows on the floor. And if you don't have a strap, you could hold behind the back of the leg. You might find you get a bit more of a knee bend doing that though. But it will still work. As we spend a bit of time, we might be able to, on the exhale, get a little bit more movement out of that leg. And then just notice what you're doing with your breath. Is there a tendency to hold the breath, especially when it gets a little bit more intense in the stretch? Or are you adding tension around the throat and the jaw? So try and keep the face and the throat relaxed. So we'll keep the right leg extended. And then on the next exhalation, begin to reach away through your left leg. So that's going to add a little bit more extension now to both legs. And now I'm actively pressing my front of the left thigh to the floor. And I'm also pressing this front right thigh towards the hamstring at the back, so the thigh muscles are firm. So keeping that right leg straight, rebend into the left leg, And you're going to find hopefully an easing off of sensations in the right. So now you might be able to bring that right leg even closer towards you. So I've just gained a little bit more. So I'm going to now turn my front of the kneecaps facing my right shoulder. So if I slightly rotate the whole right leg, so it's pointing a little bit more off to the outer shoulder there. From here, now bend the knee. So you can stay holding on to the strap, or you could hold behind the back of the thigh, or you may be able to reach up and hold on to the outer edge of the foot there. And I've got the knee pointing off to the side so that I'm not pressing the thigh on my rib cage. I'm actually off to the edge of my ribs there. And then to counteract this weight of the leg on the right side, I'm just going to let my left knee relax out to the left. So I'm keeping my pelvis level on the floor here. So this is now working deeper into my glute muscles and lower back muscles. You could take the strap off if you can reach your foot, or you can leave it there. Now, last little bit, you can stay here. You can always come out and have a rest, or you may find that extending that left leg out a little bit more is what you'd like, so you can do that. But if it doesn't feel good, just rebend the knee again, because this is intensifying this opening. So again, I'm trying to actively press my left leg to the floor a little bit harder now. I'm also trying to relax my right shoulder closer to the floor as well. And then I come back to my breath. If you want to use that 3-part breath, feel free to incorporate that, or Ujjayi breath is a nice breath as well, if you're familiar with that. Soft, relaxed face. On the next breath in, we'll rebend into the left leg. Gently release that right leg. It's probably going to feel like it wants to let go. And then we'll slide both legs away and compare the two different sides. So my right side feels much flatter than my left side now. And then I'm just going to let it go, shake that off. Okay, so bending both knees, and then we'll take our strap, a couple of point and flexes with the foot there, and then can we place that strap around the left ball of the foot. So I'm just settling into a comfortable position, so not too easy, not too strong, somewhere in the middle there. Looking for that sensation. Again, this side I'm also feeling it in my left buttock, so buttock muscles are probably a little bit tight at the moment for me. And then we'll exhale and start to extend away through that right leg. So now actively pressing down through the thighs towards the hamstrings. Trying to relax into that sensation of stretch, so checking there's no tension in the eyes or the face. Come back to the breath. So the left leg will remain straight, and it's just the right knee that we're going to rebend. And with that, you'll probably feel a little bit of easing off in that left leg. So let's take up some of that extra stretch we might have gained, and we hold it there for a moment. So now we'll do that little rotation. The whole leg from the head of the thigh just slightly rotates out. So now my kneecap's turning out from my shoulder. Begin to bend into that left knee. You can either walk your hands up the strap, hold behind the thigh, or grab hold of the foot. And remember, we're trying to avoid the rib cage, the thigh on the ribs. Counteract that with the right knee relaxing to the right side, so pelvis should still feel level on the floor. You can see I've got my heels stacked over my knee joint with that left foot, and I'm trying to keep the sole of the foot facing up to the ceiling. Can we soften into the groin, into the pelvis? And see if we can relax left shoulder down. If you want just that little bit extra, on your next exhale, maybe extend away through that right leg. See how that feels. If it doesn't feel good, just rebend it. Right leg's quite active if you have it extended, so pressing the thigh to the floor. And then back to breath, whether Ujjayi breath or 3-part breath you might like to use as we hold. And then we'll ease our way out. So gently bringing the right foot back in. Releasing the left foot back down, and then slide both legs away. How's that feel? Feels a bit more even. And then shake it out, loosen off. Okay, so this is another little stretch for the hip joints. You could use a strap, which I quite like, or some of you won't need a strap at all. So basically, we're going to be crossing this right leg over the left, and I'm just hooking the strap around my foot up near the ankle there, and I'm going to hold on to that with the left hand. So guiding that right knee away. But then rather than taking that left foot off the floor, what we're going to do is actually extend the left leg out and then release the right knee to the ground. So, like I said, some of you will be quite happy to hold on to your foot all the way up. Mine's a little bit stiffer, so I need a strap to keep this leg where it is. And I'm feeling this in my outer right hip. So this, if you like doing postures like lotus pose, then this is a really good warm-up movement for that. Otherwise, if you've got tight hips, this is also quite nice to do. I'm trying to relax as much as I can, easing into it. Definitely trying not to grit the teeth. Okay, let's breathe in, ease back out. We'll take that strap off and release. Again, I'm just going to extend that right leg, shake it off, rebend. And we'll set up now for the left side. So crossing left leg over right. And we'll start by trying to guide this knee away from the body. I mean, the higher you can take this foot towards the groin, the stronger the stretch will be. It really just depends on what your knees and hips are like. And then we'll start to reach our way through that right leg. As we do that, release the left leg towards the floor. Notice how it feels. So if you've got to back it off, you could just lift the knee up a little bit higher. And we breathe. Each breath I'm trying to get a little bit more softness in this area. And the right leg's just relaxed on the floor, no tension there. Okay, easing back out. Take that leg, shake it out. Okay, and we'll take both knees in towards the chest. You can have a hand on each knee, and we'll just do a little rock side to side, or you might want to do circles, whatever feels best for the back. And rolling over. So lots and lots of leg stuff there. We're going to come over onto hands and knees. So into our cat position. And then just a little contract and release through the fingers there. And then we'll do the other side. Just getting all those finger joints mobile and working. And we'll be working into our Svanasana, our downward dog. So spread out the fingers. And when you look at the hands, ideally you want the crease at the front of the wrist here to be facing the middle fingers. And then I've got my shoulders just that little bit behind my hands. Feet are hip width. We're going to tuck the toes. And we're coming into puppy dog. So that means we're going to keep the knees bent and slide back with the hips. So we lift the knees off the floor. Knees stay bent. We slide back with the hips and we let the head hang between the upper arms. So really pressing down through the whole hand, all the fingers. And then see if you can relax your shoulders, broaden across the back there. But make sure you're not squeezing the collarbones at the front. And you're going to have a little play with the knees bent closer to the floor. Lift the hips up a little bit. And of course, anytime you need to come down, have a rest for the arms, feel free to come down all the way. And then easing back to our downward dog for a moment, if you're still with us. Shoulders relaxed. And then taking both knees to the floor. So coming into your child pose, big toes will touch. Hips ease back right down towards the heels, either resting forehead on the floor, but for me you can see I'm pitching forwards, so I'm better off supporting my head on my hands so I don't feel like I'm head-butting the ground. And next breath in, let's come back up. So once more, Svanasana, our downward dog, spread the hands out. I've got my hands a little bit wider than my shoulders, so you might want to have a play and feel what it's like to have shoulder width as opposed to a little bit wider, and see what's most comfortable for your shoulders and your neck. So toes under, nice deep breath in. Let's take the hips up nice and high. So I'm right up on the balls of my feet, hips are high, and then I take my head between the upper arms. I'm moving my chest a little bit more towards the legs there, and I try and relax the shoulders. Can I nod the head, shake it? You know, lots of mobility in the neck there. All right, from here, we gradually ease the heels a little closer to the floor, extending them away from the toes. So we want length in the soles of the feet. If it feels too much, you can always bend the knees a little bit. And can we breathe? Long, slow, deep breaths. We're building strength in our upper body with the weight bearing. And when you're ready to come back down, we'll take both knees to the floor. This time you may want to do working child. So we take the knees out more to the edges of the mat. Toes still touch, hips towards the heels. And this time the body's coming down between the thighs, maybe forehead resting on the floor this time. But again, if that doesn't feel good, you can always bend the elbows, rest the head on the hands. So that's a nice option for shoulders. Next breath in, we'll come back up. And we'll set up one more time for our downward dog, but this time, rather than coming back down to a child pose, we'll be stepping forwards into a forward bend. So, toes under, nice deep breath in. On the exhale, lifting up and back with the hips. Releasing the heels a little closer to the floor. Checking that we're not feeling super top heavy. We want to get the weight moving back, so we've got to take the hips back. And now we'll walk the feet towards the hands. And you'll need to bend the knees to get up there, and you can keep the knees a little bit soft. And then your choice, you can either rest elbows on thighs, or you can fold a little bit deeper, head lower than heart, and fold the arms. So try to support your back by having the belly resting on the thighs. And let's release fingertips to the floor. Bend the knees a little deeper, take the gaze forwards. See if you can bring the weight back through the heels. Roll the shoulders back, stretch the arms behind as we lift the head, the heart. Sweep the arms out in front. Inhale up, bring the arms down as we straighten all the way up. Okay, if you want to shake it out. So, standing postures. Let's start with Tadasana today. So we're going to have our feet hip width apart. Measure of hip width. If you put your instep your heel into your instep and then pivot on the ball of the foot, that's roughly my hip width. So I'm working off my bone frame, not my padding, just the bone frame. So there's a tendency for a lot of people to feel stable. They want to stand out a lot wider. So if you can measure that out, that would be good. And then from here, observe the weight in the feet. So you might want to lean forwards towards the toes, take the weight a little bit more into the heels, go forwards, backwards, just very subtly, until you can keep the toes really soft on the floor, and you've got a sense of, 2/3 of the weight going down through the heels. The balls of the feet are connected to the earth. And then we want to check, is there a tendency to roll our ankles outwards or roll them inwards? So you want to try and Get evenness in the outer edges of the feet and the inner edges. And then place the hands on the pelvis. Bend the knees just a little bit. So keeping the knees slightly soft. Relax the front of the groin here. So I don't want to be pushing my hips forwards. I'm just going to ease back, keeping that weight through the heels. And as I take my hips back, it feels like I'm sticking my bottom out a little bit. That's okay if you've got that sense of bottom sticking out. What we're now going to do is gently draw up through the legs. So I'm almost got my knees straight, just slightly off dead straight. And as I straightened up a little bit, it feels like my bottom's come back in again, but I still have this softness in the front of my groin. So I want to keep that. Okay, so from here, let's rotate palms up. As we do that, roll the shoulders back, broad chest, relax the shoulder blades down, the rib cage there, and then just allow the arms to relax beside the body. Can you get a sense of the head being balanced over the pelvis and the feet? So the chin is parallel to floor. This is our Tadasana, standing even weight on both feet, nice tall spine, and trying to get the weight traveling down through the heels. Okay, and then from here we'll move into Nitambasana. So either keep the hands down beside the body and you can slide one hand down, or if it's okay for the shoulders, we're going to breathe in, take both arms up. So you can either keep the hands a little bit wider than shoulders if you prefer, shoulder width, or maybe even interlocking, perhaps with the index finger pointing up. So whatever feels best. Nice deep breath in. Let's go for some length. Keep those knees a little soft though. On the exhale, let's go to our left side. So we're going to lean over to the left without letting that left arm collapse. Keep breathing in and going for length. And as we exhale, maybe allowing a little bit more movement to the left. So you should get a sense of really stretching across your rib cage. Pressing evenly down through both feet. Okay, let's breathe in, come back to center. Relax the shoulders. And we'll bring the hands to the heart. So if you had the interlock with the index finger, what I'd like you now to do is to change the lock over, change the thumbs over. And it just feels a bit weird. And then we're going to breathe and come up. If you had the hands separate, don't worry about it. Okay, on our next exhale, over to the right side. Nice big stretch over to the right. Watch this right arm doesn't get away from you though, it's easy to do. And we're looking for that stretch through the left rib cage, but keep pressing through both feet. And also checking that you're not locking out your kneecaps. Your knee joints shouldn't be pressing back. It's just that little bit of softness. Have you brought some weight into the toes? Get it into the heels. Okay, let's come back to center. Release the arms back down. Shake it out. And we're going to go for a bit of a swing, but this one's different. So we're going to take the right leg across, and as we take the right leg over to the left side, we're going to take the arms to the right. So it's a little bit of coordination if we can. So start from here. If you lose your balance, you can always put the toes down. So we're going crossways. Okay, and we'll try the other side. So we'll start with arms to the left, left foot to the right. See if we can get balance first, and then across. Okay, funny how one side's always easier than the other. From here, let's turn and face the short end of our mat for warrior number one, Virabhadrasana. So we're going to start with the feet about hip width. Turn your left foot slightly out, and then nice big step forwards with the right foot. We're going to keep the right knee bent, just so it's over the ankle there. And if you put your hands on the pelvis, top of the pelvis here, Hopefully it feels comfortable to have it facing your front foot because you've got that hip width distance in both feet. All right, so from this position, let's start with the hands at the heart center. And as we breathe in, we're going to lift and lengthen through the spine. Maybe take the gaze up and maybe take the arms up. So I'm really stretching down through my left heel and lengthening up through the crown of my head. Keeping a little bit of softness in the front groins. So down here, I'm not sort of pushing madly forwards. All right, let's bring that back down. Change sides. So left foot forwards, right foot back. Just check you haven't got your right foot turned all the way out. So I want to have both feet pointing directly to the front. Left knee bent. Check with the hips. Can I get them facing the front here? And then start hands, thumbs just on the sternum. Nice breath in, lift and lengthen. And then if you like, you can take the arms up as well. And remember, I'm not pushing madly forwards with my right hip. I'm just keeping a little bit of softness here at the front of the groin and extending down through that right heel. Couple of breaths. All right, and release. Stepping back out. So now we'll come into a pose called Urdhvasana. So we have our hip width, which for me is roughly about here. We actually go a little bit wider on this one. So this is more my shoulder width, if you like. And we're going to keep both heels on the ground, but we bend the knees. And when I bend the knees, a little bit hard to see my knees in these pants, but I want them tracking in line with my toes, so not caving in or collapsing out. It's a bit hard to see my toes in these pants as well. So we're going to bend the knees, sit back with the hips, but this isn't chair pose. We're going to keep more upright through the spine. And again, the hands come to heart center, and we're going to press the palms with the elbows trying to lift to wrist height. Shoulders stay down. So we're pushing quite strong through the hands here. We're keeping the spine as upright as we can, but knees are bent. And this is working through our calf muscles. So think of drawing up, if you like, think of a spiral. Think of your inner knee spiraling back to your outer hip. Inner knee spiraling back to the outer hip. So quite a simple posture, but if we just hold, it gets stronger, a little bit like our chair poses. Really good for grounding. Take the awareness now to the pelvic floor, and as you exhale, just think of lifting that pelvic floor. As you inhale, gentle release, but don't let it collapse. So think of that pelvic floor rising and falling with the breath, just like the diaphragm. All right, coming back out. So now we're going to move into a balance. And this one's the dance of Lord Shiva. So we're going to be balancing on our right leg first. So right foot should already be pointing straight ahead. Transfer the weight, try and keep the hips level. And you can either keep your left toes on the floor here in front, knees bent, or if you can, try and lift the knee in line with the hip. Just watch that you haven't sort of kicked out to the side when you've done that. So right knee's a little bit more bent now. And then I'm going to take my left hand across the chest, palm down. Right elbow above the left hand. You can join the thumbs, index fingers if you like for Yana Mudra. And then I'm going to bend my right knee just that little bit deeper. And this is it. This is the dance of Lord Shiva. So again, working on strength as well as the balance now. So I'm trying to keep my knee lifted in line with my hip, keeping my back straight, soft face, and then we'll release. So I should have felt like a little bit of work. Check your left foot's now straight. So we're going to transfer weight to the left. You can either keep the toes on the floor or you can lift the knee up. Bend a little bit into the left knee now. Okay, let's take right hand across, left elbow above right hand. Sink down a little bit deeper if you can. Keep this knee lifted or rest toes on the floor for more support. Whoop. Don't forget to breathe, hold. Nice straight spine. And when you're ready, come back out. All right, feet a little bit wider, knees soft. Let's go for a nice easy swing. And then back to center. And now we're going to be working with a forward bend, but just halfway today. This can get a little intense on the legs, hence those leg stretches we did earlier. You could use a wall or a chair or a bench to put your hands on to make this a little bit easier. So this is an option, but if you're okay to work a little bit stronger and your back is good, then we're going to set our feet up just like we had for Warrior One. So both feet pointing to the top there, hips are level. We're going to keep the hands on the hips to start off with, and this time legs stay straight, so no bending the front knee. We're just going to go halfway, so we breathe in, and as I exhale, I soften into the front groins. We're going to come down. So this could be your halfway right here, if it's feeling really strong. Some of you might feel okay to go to shoulders more in line with hips. So your body's going to tell you where you're happy to go. Watch if your left hip starts to drag you back. So we're trying to ease the left hip forwards and relax the right hip back. And holding it in this halfway position, you'll notice you've really got to work strong through these legs. Okay, we're going to come back up. Now you can bend the knee to ease off a little bit. Let's change sides. So I've got my hip width distance, feet pointing straight ahead. Both legs straight now. Inhale. Exhale, start to guide yourself forwards. Trying to keep these hips level. So watch if you start to do this sort of action. And then seeing where you can get to, keeping both shoulders level. Breathing. Pressing through the feet. So I notice my front left foot, I tend to want to roll into the little toe side of the foot, so I've got to actively press down through this left big toe and the heels. All right, we're going to come back up. You can bend the knee a little bit and we'll come back out. So you can feel how strong the legs have to work in that. Once we take hands to the floor, when you can take hands to the floor, you know, you can get some of the weight off your legs, it makes it easier, but we're going to work a bit stronger today, so no hands to floor. Right foot forwards again. I've gone just a little bit longer this time. Hands back to the hips. All right, from here, let's exhale, we start to come forwards, and then release the hands and stretch them behind. Keep the left hand where it is, reach the right arm forwards. So notice how much harder that makes the posture. Let's switch the arms. I actually find that a little easier. That's because the right foot's forwards, left hand balances it out. Okay, switch it back. So same side, much harder, isn't it? Okay, come back up, change sides. Square up. On the exhale, fold. Let's try left arm forwards. Oh, sorry, both arms behind first. Keep the shoulders back, chest open. Now reach left arm forwards. Okay, let's switch it over. Much easier. Switch it back, just for a little bit more hard. All right, bring it back in, come back up. Step back out. So if you went out with both arms forwards, That's going to be a lot more intense on your back and your legs. So perhaps don't do that if you know it's going to stress out parts of your body that don't need to be stressed out. All right, so setting up, right foot forwards again. Breathing in, both arms up, but if you know this is just not going to be good for you, keep the hands here at the hips or behind. Exhale, let's come forwards, keeping the arms next to the ears. So I'm trying to keep my back straight. It's no good me coming down in this sort of position. So I want to keep good form, and this could be it. So see where you can get to. Really got to work those legs. And breathe. Okay, strong legs. Bend the knee if you need to come out. That's going to help your back. So if I'm sort of here and I bend the knee, much easier than doing it with a straight leg. Let's try left side. Should be feeling your heart going a little bit more now. Breathing in, or keep the hands low. Keep the arms next to the ears as we exhale. Come forwards, maybe here, maybe here. Just see where you can get to. Check the breath. And then perhaps bend the knee to come out. Or if you're strong enough, keep the legs straight. All right, let that go. So let's come into Uttanasana. Knees soft, feet hip width. Fold from the hips. And this is meant to be a rest, so we're just going to hang. Remember, you can also rest elbows on thighs. Have the head more neutral if you prefer. As we breathe in, release the arms. Take the head forwards. Let's just roll it up. Knees as soft as we roll up. Okay, so our next standing pose is Ardha Chandrasana, Crescent Moon. Again, you could use a wall if you've got that of space. And this is where it can be quite nice to have your hand either on a brick or a chair for a little bit extra support, so you're not straining to get to the floor. So if you're going to use the wall, start with your support up against the wall there, and what you're going to do is lean back on the wall. So that's the side view. So if this was my wall here, I would have my brick up against the wall, and you can see my foot's a good foot away. If you're deciding not to use a wall, again, just set your brick up near the corner of your mat. We're going to have the right foot forwards first. We'll step back into our left, and we're tilting here from the hips a little bit. To get into it, bend the knee, step in a little bit with your left foot. Feel for where the brick is. So notice I'm not looking down, I'm keeping my gaze straight ahead. If I look down, I tend to collapse to the floor, so I want to look up. Transfer weight to that right foot, and then lift the left leg up. And then maybe take the left arm up. Are you still breathing? So reach out through all four limbs. Steady, steady breath, steady gaze. And then when you're ready to come back down, we're going to soften the right knee. Left foot to floor, and we come back out. Okay, so other side. So if you like the wall, switch it around. You're going to have your left hip next to the wall. If you're freestanding, put the brick left hand corner of the mat, left foot facing the brick, but I'm slightly in front of it, so the brick is actually behind me. And then I fix my gaze point at the front here. So rolling with the hips here over that front leg. I'm going to have to bend the knee, step in a little bit, place the hand down without trying to look down. Transfer weight. Now watch that you haven't shifted your foot. That's really easy to do and quite common. We're going to lift that right leg up, straighten into the left, maybe take the right arm up. So we've got to concentrate, got to breathe. Trying to keep the gaze steady, that's going to help with the balance. And when you're ready to come back down, bend the knee, step to the floor. Breathe a sigh of relief, shake it out. So it's beautiful posture against the wall. I do love doing it on a wall if you've got the space, because you just get that sense of expansion. When we're doing it freestanding, a lot more energy is just going into trying to keep that balance, and we tend to forget about really trying to extend and open up. All right, so we're going to make our way back down towards the floor. If you'd like to come towards the back of your mat, feet hip width, and we're folding from the hips. So if possible, keep the legs straight, but if you can't reach the floor, then bend the knees, because we're going to have to get to the floor anyway. So Uttanasana, folding forwards, trying to keep the spine nice and long. And I'm just going to allow my fingertips to travel down my legs until I can reach the ground. I'm drawing strongly up through my thighs and knees. Again, I'm working on that strong back length. Maybe folding a little bit deeper if that's available. And if you can't touch the floor, you might have to bend the knees. So I'm going to keep my legs straight for as long as I can. Actually, correction, the legs will stay straight if possible, but the heels are going to stay grounded for as long as they can, because we're going to walk forwards into our downward dog. Now you can always just bend the knees, come into a cat pose, but I really want to stretch out my downward dog. And if your heels come off the floor at the end there, that's okay. Mine are just hovering off the ground there. Shoulders relaxed. Breathing into the belly. And both knees to the floor. And come down to your favourite rest position, whether that's a child pose, supported, or you want the knees a little bit wider for your working child pose, whatever works for you. Next breath in, we'll come back up to hands and knees. Bring the knees back in if they were wide to hip width. And we're in Chandrasana. So I'm going to bring my hands more underneath my shoulders now. You could do this on your forearms if your wrists have had enough as well. And we're just going to circle around. So I like to call this sexy cat. And I've got my tail swishing in a nice circular motion behind me. Let's go the other way. So it's really lovely for the back. Okay, and then from here we'll bring the knees together and we're going for a little roll side to side. So opposite knee comes off the floor. And then back to our center. And now more full working child pose. So knees out to the edges, big toes touch, sit back. Either forehead to floor, or you can support the head on the hands. But I'm keeping my elbows off the ground if the arms are straight. Palms are down, but I'm lifting from the wrists. All right, bringing it back in, we're going to roll over onto our back for bridge pose. So for bridge pose, if you know that your feet tend to get a little bit offset, then you might want to shuffle towards just one edge of your mat there so you can feel the toes. And I know that This way both my feet are even. Just going to tuck that in somehow, if possible. Okay, so I'm going to shuffle down towards my feet so I know I've got that evenness in my feet. My feet are hip width, knees are hip width, and I want to keep that throughout the posture. So we're going to do a rolling bridge. If your shoulders don't like going all the way to the floor behind you, that's okay. Just take them towards the ceiling, whatever feels best for the shoulders there. So as we inhale, let's just start with the back. We're going to bring the hips off the floor, lifting up. And on the exhale, we're going to roll down the spine so that the buttocks come down last. As we breathe in, peel the back off the floor, keeping the knees hip width. And then as we exhale, rolling back down. So now we'll add the arms. Breathing in, lift the back and the arms to wherever they're happy to go. And as we exhale, roll it back down. And can you try and time it so everything starts and finishes together? So the breath, the back and the arms all start and finish the breath in. Little pause. Exhale, we all start together, roll it down. I'm trying to finish my exhale in time with the hands and the back. So we'll keep going with that. You might find one arm is a little bit faster or slower than another arm. So lovely movement with breath. Now next time when we go up, we'll hold. We keep breathing though. If the arms aren't happy, you can always bring them back down. And we're working on that back strength. Last breath in here. On the exhale, let's release all the way back down. Once you're all the way down, just relax. Loose little roll of the knees side to side. And we're going to finish off our posture work with a twist. So from here, let's cross left leg over right. Both arms out, shoulder height. And we're going to start with knees just relaxing to the left, which feels a little bit awkward. And then inhale to center. And now we're going to go to the right, which feels more normal. So try and keep your left shoulder relaxed to the floor. If you want, you could use your right hand to draw that leg across or support it. Breathing back to our center. Uncross. Recross, right leg over left. So we're going to go to the right side first. Don't get as far on this side. And then back to center. On the exhale, releasing, relaxing to our left. But right shoulder staying on the floor. Maybe taking the left hand and adding some extra if you want. All right, releasing back out. Uncrossing the legs. And then from here you can choose to find that comfortable position we started the class with. So either keeping the knees bent or legs out. We're just going to do a little bit of 3-part breath awareness again, and then we'll go into our relaxation. So if you do want to put your warm clothes on, maybe grab all of that now so that you are comfortable and you don't have to disturb yourself too much when we go down for the relaxation. Accidentally unslip one thing. Okay, so lying on your backs. If you want to set up with a bolster underneath as well, that could be a great option. And then connecting with that breath in and out through the nose. And observing that 3-part now if you can. So when you next breathe in, take it deep into the belly, expand into the rib cage, fill up to the collarbones, and then as you exhale, let that breath go. So continuing with that 3-part breath, trying to fill all of the lungs. And you can use this conscious breath at any time throughout the day. And even if you find it hard to do all 3 parts of the breath, if you can just do one part, try to do the big belly breath first. And letting control of that breath go now. Allowing the body to breathe in any way it feels it wants to. And if you do need to make any little adjustments to your position, then please make them. Once you've settled into your position, resist the urge to move. So closing the eyes, feeling the body connected to the floor. And then try to visualize your spine stretched out on the floor. See your spine as the central axis of your body. You may even want to visualize yourself in a seated position and think of that spine balanced from the base all the way up to the top where the head is balanced on top of the spine. So if you can visualize your body in a seated position, imagine it is like a pyramid with that spine being the central axis of the pyramid. The rest of the body relaxes. And the breath is gently flowing in and out. So just noticing that movement of air through the nostrils. Feeling the cool air coming in through the tip of the nostrils and the warm air moving out through the base of the nostrils. And then if you'd like to add the mantra of the breath to that awareness. So as you inhale, we think of the sound sa. And as you exhale, we think of the sound hum. Inhaling sa, exhaling hum. And having that awareness at the eyebrow center now. And from the eyebrow center, which we call Ajna chakra, when you next exhale, imagine exhaling from the eyebrow center down through the spine to the base, to the sound of hum. And then when you breathe in, inhale up through the spine to the crown of the head to the sound of sa. So exhaling hum from the top of the head down to the base of the spine. Inhaling sa all the way back up to the top of the head. As you continue to use that awareness of the mantra, the breath and the spinal axis, you might like to visualize it as a thread-like shaft of light traveling up and down the spine with the breath. And if you lose the focus, if the mind wanders off, can you gently guide it back to the mantra sa, hum. Sending that breath up and down the spine. And the next time when you breathe in to Sa, take that awareness back to the eyebrow center, Ajna chakra, and try to keep the sound of the mantra at that point. Focusing into a single point where that sound first arises in the mind. Allow that mantra, Sa, hum, to fill the space in the mind. Letting go of that awareness of mantra and breath. Expanding awareness to the body lying on the floor. Maybe drawing a deeper breath in, sighing it out through the mouth. When you're ready to start moving into the hands and the feet, and extending into the arms and the legs, gently allowing the body to wake and move in any way it feels comfortable to do so. And then eventually rolling over to the right hand side. And making your way up to sit comfortably. So this week's quote is from Thich Nhat Hanh, who says, "If you breathe in and are aware that you are alive, that you can touch the miracle of being alive, then that is a kind of enlightenment." So we'll finish with the hands together. Namaste. Have an excellent rest of your week, and I will be opening up my studio for some classes next week, so we'll see whether we continue with the recorded classes. So thank you very much for joining me in your homes, and I look forward to seeing some of you in my classes in real life. Bye.